Tawana Asolte, Turtle Clan. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Keith Colston, and I am serving today as the Master of Ceremonies. I greeted you in my tribal language by again greeting everyone, saying hello, and giving you my clan and my tribal affiliations. It is indeed an honor and privilege to serve in the capacity of Master of Ceremonies for today's event. I'd like to welcome and thank all of you for joining us today for this special program commemorating Red Shawl Day. We are here to remember those relatives who have had their life cut short and to honor those families left behind. We're also here to reflect and to pray for those remaining missing, that they come home and that their families can get the closure that they need. We're going to jump right into the program and turn it over to the Zotai Singers, well known throughout Indian country, joining us from Washington, D.C. at the Department of Interior. They're here to sing an honor song, so please take it away, Zotai Singers.
Sego, Liam McDonald, Young Cats, Kanyake Haga, Newakot Sota. Hello, my name is Liam McDonald. I'm a Mohawk descendant. My family is originally enrolled with St. Regis Mohawk Tribe of New York, also known as Agsusasne. I want to start off with a prayer for our missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. We ask that they come home if they're lost, and we pray that they know that they're loved and their communities need them. And we pray for all our young people to know that they have a home, and if they're lost out there, to find their way back to safety. Also want to acknowledge the land that the Department of Interior Indian Affairs resides on, the Piscataway Nation. I want to acknowledge the traditional owners of the Washington, D.C. area and where all the federal government buildings reside. Next, I want to acknowledge the land I stand on. This is traditionally Cherokee land, not far from the Eastern Band of Cherokee Reservation. I'm coming to you from the Appalachian Trail in the Great Smoky Mountains. This is some very powerful country up here in the mountains. And the Cherokee people were actually removed from here and then through land reclamation moved back here. It's a very, very beautiful place to be able to come up in the mountains. In all of our state parks, it's an amazing time to have natives running our national parks and our federal lands. These are where our sacred spaces are and where we go to pray. And so it's a really interesting and beautiful time to be alive, to go to these places and know that they're being managed by Native people. Thank you so much. I appreciate everybody's time, and I hope you have a beautiful day. Niawagoa.
Bonjour. Hello, my name is Brian Newland, and I have the privilege of serving as the Assistant Secretary for Indian Affairs. I want to thank you all for taking the time to tune into our Red Shawl Day program today. We're here to reflect and remember those across Indian country who've been taken from their relatives too soon and those who remain missing. This year's theme for Native American Heritage Month is Revitalizing Indigenous Connections. This theme reflects how the living bonds of history, culture, and community must be honored and renewed with each generation. Through these connections, we're working to address the critical issues facing Indian country. We're ramping up our efforts to keep tribal people safe in their communities. Our focus on public safety included the launch last year of the Missing and Murdered Unit within the BIA's Office of Justice Services. And you can find more information about this effort at www.bia.gov/MMU. This is our website dedicated to solving missing and murdered cases in Indian country. We need to investigate these cases in our communities and pursue justice for those impacted by violence. Equally important is the need to address the underlying issues that have led to the missing and murdered crisis. To speak more on this important issue, I'm honored to invite Arlene Armijo, who joins us from Albuquerque. Arlene is an enrolled member of the Acoma Pueblo, and she has more than 20 years of experience providing direct services to those who've been impacted by violence. After seeing numerous cases of declined prosecutions and lenient sentences for offenders, Arlene decided to build relationships with federal partners to uplift the voices of tribal citizens. In addition, she worked to include those people in the process to help them heal. Arlene's always been a firm believer in reaching people at the earliest signs of abuse or violence, in understanding the critical importance of case updates and support during various stages of investigations. Arlene also works with families and individuals to identify needs and find the resources they need or make requests. In addition, Arlene's provided training for the BIA, the FBI, and tribal police officers, and she provides training and technical assistance to tribes when requested. She's the victim specialist for our Missing and Murdered Unit, and she works with agents across the nation to address issues directly affecting Indian country. I'm pleased to introduce Arlene to provide an update from her unit and to provide remarks to commemorate this Red Shawl Day. Miigwech.
Goatsi hopa, doshina me haya aitsa erse, kutsanustata, yaka hano ir, ako mersata, ersa nama tamayamet, et mericana nia, Arlene Armijo. Hello everyone. My name is Almost Autumn, and my American name is Arlene Armijo. I am from the Antelope Clan and a child of the Corn Clan. I am from the pueblos of Acoma and Santa Ana in New Mexico. Currently, I am a victim specialist with the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Office of Justice Services in the Missing and Murdered Unit. I have been providing victim services for a total of 22 years. 10 of those years were for my own tribe, the Pueblo of Acoma, and for 11 years, I provided direct victim services with the BIA's Victim Assistance Program. And this month marks my 1-year anniversary providing services for the Missing and Murdered Unit. I am honored and humbled to have been invited to speak for the 2022 National Native American Heritage Month Red Shawl Day of Remembrance, Revitalizing Indigenous Connections. And I would like to thank the committee for this opportunity. As I thought about this year's theme, Revitalizing Indigenous Communities, I thought about the individuals whose lives had been impacted by the abuse and violence, and what a privilege it was for me to have been able to work with them, providing direct services so that their healing journey could begin. I also thought about the Red Shawl Day of Remembrance and the significance of the shawl. As Indigenous people, we are aware that we suffer rates of addiction, violence, murders, and health issues at rates far greater than other populations. We also go missing at higher rates than other populations. I thought about sharing the statistics, and the more I thought about it, I told myself we can collect the numbers and agree to disagree that the numbers are skewed or wrong, and we need to fix the problem immediately. The more I thought about the statistics, I realized the numbers don't show one thing. Whether the number is 1, 5, or 900, let's not forget today and every day as we do our work. These are not only numbers, but they are also individuals that belong to a tribe, nation, or pueblo. Many of us may know friends and family that have been impacted by abuse and violence, or families that have loved ones that may be missing or have been murdered. This impacts all of us, as our tribal communities are small, and one person hurt by abuse or violence, one person that is murdered, or one person that is missing is one less individual that will continue to be a mother, father, daughter, son, grandparent, or member of the community to share their knowledge and skills for the next generations. As tribal communities, we are taught that our children and women are sacred. Let us also acknowledge and remember that our males, LGBTQ, and Two-Spirit members also suffer from abuse and violence. They also go missing and are murdered. This is what the statistics don't show. These are individuals that many of us know. According to the Iroquois philosophy, decisions we make today should result in a sustainable world 7 generations into the future. While this philosophy generally refers to energy, water, and natural resources, it can also apply to relationships. As I reflected and thought of the meaning of this philosophy for me, it made me think about the 7 generations prior that may have never spoken of the abuse and violence that they suffered, or that they are barely beginning to talk about. We are teaching the current generation to speak up and report the abuse and violence so that cycle stops, so that our families may have a safer world to grow up in. Working in the Missing Murdered Unit with the agents and evidence technicians that assist the agents while they're out on scene, and we spend the time following up on the information that is received. We understand and we listen to the families, and we hear what they are saying. With the advancements of technology that we have access to, we are able to provide closure to some family members so their loved ones receive a proper burial. Our unit continues to grow and works to provide families with updates. As we listen and hear what families have to say, It is important to remember to listen to the past so that the current generation has a safer world to live in and to make decisions for the next 7 generations so they have a sustainable world. In many indigenous cultures, red is a powerful color. For some, it is believed that red is the color seen by those that have passed on to the spirit world, while others reserve its use for healers in our communities. As stated earlier, I thought about the significance of the shawl. I see the shawl as having 2 meanings. One is a shield of protection, and the other as a barrier. As Pueblo ladies, our shawls are an important part of our traditional attire. We wear our shawls during ceremonies and feast days. Our shawls serve as protection from the cold, the heat, and other elements that nature may bring during these times. We wrap our children in our shawls as a way of comfort and safety when they fall to sleep, listening to the beat of the drum and the songs. Songs serve as a prayer for nature, safety, and the well-being of people around the world. I also see how the shawl can be a barrier that prevents us from talking about the trauma of abuse and violence and not talking about the sadness when a family member is missing or murdered. Let us no longer use our shawls as a barrier, but we should use them for the safety and protection of our women, children, males, our LGBTQ and Two-Spirit community members, to empower our Indigenous communities to begin talking about the trauma. As we all know, COVID had a huge impact on tribes. We couldn't gather. Ceremonies and community events stopped. Families did not visit one another. Many of us will be gathering with family and friends later this month to share a meal and to see each other. Some of us maybe for the first time in 2 or even 3 years. My hope is that during our gathering that we take some time to remember or to make a small offering for the individuals suffering from abuse and violence, and especially for those that are missing or have been murdered. I too will take some extra time to remember my niece, Victoria, or Tori as she was known in the family. We lost her 20 years ago to a violent death. We will always feel the void, and we will never know the adult she would have become. But we remember the joy and the laughter she brought to our family, and love we all have and had for her. As I remember her and the beautiful person she was, she serves as my motivator to do this work to the best of my ability. As I close, I would like to share my interpretation of revitalizing Indigenous connections. I interpret it as uplifting Indigenous relations. For Native people, we can visit almost any reservation and find a relative, or we may find that we are related to a community member distant from ours. I have always believed we cross paths for a purpose. For me, that purpose is for each of us to uplift our Indigenous relations, whether it be in our own community, state, at the national level, and in some instances internationally. Let us do our part to support our communities to start healing. Tawa'e. Thank you.
Thank you, Arlene, for those powerful and uplifting words. We hope to uplift Indian country through the efforts made by each and every one of us to be part of the solution. Let us continue with the program. Next, we want to take it back to Washington, D.C., where Giovanna Gross, a citizen of the Oglala Lakota Nation and of Northern Peruvian descent, and Aaron Washington Markham from the Muskogee Creek Nation to sing the Strong Woman song. Afterward, we will hold a moment of silence to remember and to reflect on those relatives who are still missing and who have passed before us. From the Department of the Interior, take it away, ladies. We will hold a moment of silence to remember and to reflect on those relatives who are still missing and who have passed before us. Thank you, Mr. Gray Cloud, for that beautiful flute song. And thank you to Giovanna and Aaron for that beautiful rendition of the Strong Woman song. This brings us to the conclusion of the Indian Affairs Red Shawl Day virtual program. From all of us in the DC area and across Turtle Island, we want to thank you for tuning in and joining us today. I would like to show my appreciation again to Victoria and all those who have asked not only myself, but all those who have played a part in today's program. We can only hope and pray that what is going on in Indian country, what is taking place with our women, with our family members, our relatives, that whatever we can do and what prayers we send to the Creator will again bring an end to the atrocities that are being done to, again, our people, our families, our loved ones. our tribal people. So I say, Yahweh, once again, thank you to all those involved in today's program. Yahweh.